was a good enough house guest 2 weeks ago. And as I was mentioning, I was on campus with Tony, our founder of our company and our colleague, when he did the kickoff, and I did a breakout on Get a Life Outside the Classroom. So anyone who was there, this kind of ties into some of those ideas, and anyone who wasn't, that's fine too, and we're gonna go ahead and catch you up. So normally, as you know, we are on stage, but our stages got a whole lot smaller this month. So instead, we're coming to you online. And there's this really cool thing where it feels that much more intimate, because all of a sudden you're in my studio, I'm in your living room, like, hey, nice to meet you, nice wallpaper. This event will be recorded, just so you know. And welcome to Preventing a Miserable Career Journey. It's a Collegiate Empowerment production. And this is our team. As you see, Jason and I are usually hanging out off to the side together, up to no good, or up to lots of good. This isn't a boring lecture. We are high energy. I had my coffee today. Jason did too. We're gonna have some games and participation. It makes learning easy, and we want there to be real impact. So even if you hate lectures or your typical webinars, I promise you will love this, because we're going to help you all prevent miserable career journeys. And I don't know about you, but that seems really important right about now. So let me show you what that miserable journey would look like. Only 45% of all Americans are satisfied with their work, and 84% believe that they are not in their dream job. 77% hate their jobs. Translation, that means that they are totally miserable. And 70% are not engaged or are actively disengaged, meaning they're scrolling through Facebook and Instagram instead of doing their work at their desks. Workers under age 25 are the least happy. If you knew someone that applies to, go ahead and say, or give us a wave or raise your hand in the chat box. And if you don't want that to apply to you, say, oh, hell no.
Oh, hell no.
Awesome. So here's what a miserable career looks like. The work is meaningless. You feel unacknowledged. You're not good at your job. You have 9 different bosses. Your paycheck really sucks. Reports are due 3 days ago. There's no food in the fridge. Your internet connection doesn't work, and you have a Zoom meeting starting 10 minutes ago. You don't have any more toilet paper, and there's no more at the grocery stores, and your neighbor doesn't have any either. How many of you can relate?
Relate.
Yeah.
The mood.
So let's talk about what we call your core purpose statement. And I'm going to break down what that means in a minute. But first, I want to share this John C. Maxwell quote. There are 2 great days in our lives, the day we are born and the day we discover why. And so if you haven't discovered why yet, that's the journey we're starting on today. Because there is a great plague that is affecting us. Most students graduate without a sense of purpose and work without a sense of meaning. If you know someone suffering from that plague, say, oh no.
Oh no.
Oh no.
There are 3 keys to college and life success. Everyone tap your head and say genius.
Genius.
Tap your heart and say passion.
Passion.
And tap your hand and say achievement.
Achievement.
Awesome. Genius, passion, achievement. So together, those stand for what?
GAP. GPA. Oh, GPA.
Right, exactly, exactly. And normally GPA means what?
Grade point average.
Boy, the energy just, everyone's like, grade point average, that's finals next week.
I don't want to think
Great GPA though.
grade point average right now.
You don't want to think about it right now. I know, it's not exciting. It's so much more exciting to think about your genius and your passion and your achievements. So that's what we're going to do today. Because let me ask you this, is who you are measured by your GPA?
No.
No.
Definitely no.
I don't even remember what my GPA was. And you know what? You all are listening to me and you didn't ask me what mine was. So I guess it maybe isn't the most important thing in the world. Now, you're making a face, Christian. Now, I know I'm not saying like, oh, don't worry about your finals next week. GPA doesn't matter. Of course it matters depending on where you want to go next, depending on what you want to do. It matters for scholarships. It matters if you want to go on to get more and more degrees, if you want to go on for more schooling. 100%. But in the grander scheme of things, your GPA does not define who you are as a person. Who is this?
Is that Steve Jobs?
Yeah, it is Steve Jobs. Smart guy, right?
Smart.
Kind of, sort of, not really. Christian's got, the jury's still out for you.
He's more. He's more.
Do you know what his...
He was.
He was. Do you know what his GPA was?
No.
Nope.
Any guesses?
A 1.5.
He didn't.
Oh.
265. 2.65. Super smart guy, right? Reinvented how we approach the world because of the iPhone. 2.65. Usually the minimum to be able to participate in activities is about a 2.5, 2.75, depending on the school. When I saw that, I was like, woohoo, my GPA was better than Steve Jobs. Does that mean I can get the iPhone? Definitely not. We have different geniuses. So let's talk about your real GPA. And we're going to answer this question, your core purpose question, which is how will you use your greatest natural talents within the industry you are most attracted to, that's your passion, in order to accomplish your goals. Those are your achievements. And just let that percolate in the back of your mind right now, because we're going to come back to that. So this is my purpose. My purpose is to inspire people to break free of the self-imposed boxes that keep them within their comfort zones so they can be the best version of themselves. And I do this as a collegiate empowerment facilitator by creatively crafting and sharing my words and stories in engaging seminars and performances within edutainment so that I develop CE visionaries who commit to pursuing their best lives. Focus on your real GPA. The first thing you got to do is to trust your genius. Most students go to college and get a degree, but not an education. So do this for me. Put your hand out in front of you and draw a box and say degree. 1, 2, 3, 4, degree. And then draw a circle around that box and say education.
Education.
Awesome. So most of the time when we think about learning, when we think about education, we think about it in terms of cramming, right? Of pushing information into our heads. We even say that when we're studying, oh, I got to cram for this test. But in fact, education comes from the Latin word educare, which means to pull out or to draw forth. So the biggest educations are pulling out things that are already inside of you. I was a French major in college, and I had this awesome advisor, Jacques, who at one point after a class my senior year, he said to me, you know, Alix, the only thing that you're going to remember, it's like 5% of what I teach you. I said, 5%? Really? Then like, why the bleep am I here? Why am I killing myself to get good grades? Are you saying that the majority of what I actually learn in college is going to be like all the stupid shit that I did that I learned from and like made mistakes? Well, yes, exactly. I didn't use such fancy language with him, just so you know. So how many of you have ever done stupid stuff?
Me.
Yeah. How many of you have learned a good lesson from doing that stupid stuff, though? Awesome. Keep doing that. How many of you have not learned lessons from it? Don't do that. That's stupid. But our biggest educations come from the out of classroom stuff that we learn, from what happens when you're working on a group project, from how you deal with problems that arise that you didn't know were going to arise until 3 seconds after they just happened. from adapting to all of a sudden having all of your classes online. Everything that we're going through right now as a community, this is an education as well, not just what's happening in your classrooms. Your genius is your talents for creating value and results. That's what it means. A lot of you did or I think almost all of you did your strengths profiles. That's another word for your genius. That's what you are better at than almost anybody in the world. And if you're wondering what your genius is, it's because you haven't done it yet. So do more things. And when I say genius, I don't mean Einstein genius. I mean, what are the things that you do better than almost anyone else around you? What are the things that your friends are like, oh, we have to do X, Y, Z? Call on Diego. That's what he's amazing at. Like, for instance, I know one thing that is not my genius. Oh, sorry. One thing that is not my genius is I cannot draw to save my life. I used to work with a little boy teaching him English, and he was asking me, I think, what a horse was. And I said, oh, I'll draw it for you. He goes, no, please don't. That won't help. You just Google image search. And he was, I never graduated past stick figures. So we know when genius is present, but we also know when genius is lacking. So I'm gonna throw some pictures up and you tell me, are these genius, yes or no?
Absolutely not.
What is that one thing, like pictures taken before disaster?
Is she watering her car?
Waiting for plants to grow.
What? That is such a waste. Yes. Look,
This one's just kind of heartbreaking.
Bad idea, but I would totally do it.
Oh my gosh.
As a former theater technician, that like makes my skin crawl, that last
Oh my
one.
gosh.
Oh, that's me. That's me.
Don't do that. You'll electrocute yourself. Ask someone else to do it. So when we know that our genius isn't there, we can ask for help, right? Do what you're best at. Pick a major that's based on your genius and your interests. A friend of mine, when she went into college, she thought that she wanted to major in economics. So she took an economics course, she did really well, but then her, the requirements for econ were that you had to take a certain level of math. And so she's taken this calculus course and she was lost. She was utterly and completely flummoxed and she was miserable. And so then all of a sudden she started reassessing this econ idea and thought, well, maybe that's not what I actually want to major in. She ended up majoring in international relations, where she got to take some economics classes, some politics classes, some history classes, some language classes, went on to law school, is now an awesome, awesome lawyer doing a lot of employment stuff with immigrants in San Francisco. So she pulled all of that together, but it came from a place of knowing her genius and her interests. So do what you're best at and aim for 80%. Obviously, you're not going to be working at your genius 100% of the time. That's impossible. We all have to wash the dishes sometimes. So aim for 80%. So think about this right now. What's your genius? And what do you suck at that you want to avoid as much as possible? Go ahead, jot something down, text a friend, write it in the chat box. Turn to someone who's in the room with you and tell them, or tell us. Do that now.
I'm pretty good at critical thinking, but sometimes I'm pretty stubborn.
You're good at critical thinking, but sometimes what?
Sometimes I'm stubborn.
But sometimes you're stubborn.
Yeah.
Oh, so is being stubborn what you suck at, or is that also kind of your genius?
I don't know. I guess it can go both ways.
Yeah. Sometimes your genius is also your madness, we like to say.
Oh, we've got some responses in the chat box.
Awesome.
Math. Let's see. Going so quick in the chat box. Scrolling right by. Math, good at giving advice and counseling. Chad says, I'm good with coding. Try to stay away from English. Leah says, literature, English is my genius. And I have no math skills.
Meet up work with whoever it was who said they were really good at math and coding. And maybe you could have a little swap over there.
Amber's really great with computers and technology, also with animals. Awesome. We've got critical thinking and also asking good questions that come off as stubborn to my confusion. Oh.
Good to know. So life is too short to do the things you suck at. If you haven't found your genius yet, you haven't done it. Do more things. So I know we sort of started this conversation, so let's keep talking. What are your genius? What does this bring up for you? What is not your genius? What is your madness? That can sometimes be the flip side of your genius, right? Like for
What do
me,
you mean by madness?
What'd you say?
What do you mean by madness?
What do I mean by madness? So your madness is sometimes when your genius takes over a little bit. So for instance, my genius is in creativity. It's in creating, it's in crafting, using language, using communication. The madness is that sometimes I spiral so far down into that role of creativity that I lose sight of the fact that I haven't eaten in 12 hours, or that, you know, especially when I was in school, I really needed to remind myself of deadlines, because otherwise I would get so caught up on, say, crafting the perfect title for my French thesis. And then all of a sudden, oh, all I've written today is this title, and I was supposed to get 3 pages written. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Yeah, it makes sense. Cool.
Awesome.
You know that.
Awesome.
I would be critical. And sometimes you'll just ask me, oh, the paper is wet, and I'm just going to turn into a conspiracy theorist because everything has an angle.
Yeah, conspiracy theory, that can be where it maybe goes a little bit too far, all of your awesome ideas, for sure. For sure.
Leah says that her madness is overworking herself with
give
projects.
I struggle to take advice I give.
You're breaking up a little bit, that you struggle to what?
To take my advice that I give to other people.
Yes. Yes. That's actually a line in Disney's Alice in Wonderland. I give myself very good advice, but I very seldom follow it.
Oh, I know.
What other geniuses and madnesses? Anything brilliant, Jason, from the chat box?
Lacey feels like her genius is hair coloring, and she works in a salon with 10 other employees. Every single time one of them needs their hair color done, they always wait until she's available. Anything hair related. She's pretty good at naturally. Not so good at drawing.
I'm with you.
That's good. I'm good when I put the effort in.
If you're still struggling, like, I'm just not sure what it is, do more things, but also reach out to someone. Your friends and family, they probably know what your genius is, maybe better than you, because sometimes we're really, really good at knowing what we're not good at, but then we're a little bit shy about acknowledging what we are good at. And so sometimes you need a trusted friend or an advisor or a family member to say, no, you're really good at this. Or like with the hair coloring, if there's something that people are always going to you for help with one specific thing, that probably is because it's your genius. So now let's talk about passion, because you don't just want to have your genius, you also want to fuel your passion in your career. Most students die when they're 27, but they aren't buried until they're 77. Now, does that mean that on your 27th birthday, you're just gonna drop dead? No. And I'm 35, so I can assure you that that didn't happen on my 27th birthday. Those of you who aren't 27 yet, you're safe. But what it means is that we live a life without passion. We forget why we went to college in the first place, why we're doing all the amazing things that we were so excited to do. We just kind of let them fall by the wayside. Passion is what gives you energy to do your best. Your passion is that thing that even though it's 3 o'clock in the morning, you're still going strong because you're just so lit on fire about this amazing thing that you're doing. You're just so excited to be doing it. You want to divide your life up into 3 main categories. You have your personal life, your relationships, and your school and work life. So school or work, otherwise known as your career, is like 1/3 of your time. So if you're miserable in 1/3 of your life, that means that you're failing in that 1/3 of your life. So if you're failing 1/3 of your classes, what's your average going to be? What grade is that, math folks?
Isn't that like 60?
It's like a 66%, right? Which would translate to like a D, right? Not so good. I don't want you to get D's in your lives. Forget even your schoolwork. I don't want you to get D's in like your overall life grade. But what does a D in life look like? They're going to be fill in the blanks. Go ahead and shout them out with me. So a D in life, we work a 9 to 5. Best day of the week is
Saturday.
First day of the week is
Monday.
we might get caught working.
Overtime.
We get stupid in the bar at
Happy hour.
not right now, but every 2 weeks we get our
Paycheck.
we have to pay taxes by April or this year July 15th. We can't wait for our 2-week,
Vacation.
and once we turn 73 we can finally
Fire.
woohoo! So I don't know about all of you, but that's not the life that I'm looking forward to. In a job, you work for a paycheck. In a career, you work for a promotion. But in a calling, you work for a passion. And that's my challenge to all of you. I want you to find your callings, not just a career, not just a job. Passion means do what you love. Get involved in activities that enhance your genius and your passion. So often it's easy for us to figure out our passion because we're always told, do what you love, do what you love, do what you love. Not if you suck at it. I might love drawing. There is no way I should ever consider a career as a visual artist. Ever. But, for example, a friend of mine loves basketball. He loves basketball more than anything in the world. He is 5'10". He is never going to be a pro basketball player. He's just not. So he went to law school. He does sports law. He gets to live in his passion, but he uses his genius within that passion. You can find a way to enhance both your genius and your passion. And again, aim for 80%. You still have to do the dishes. You're not going to be able to do what you love 100% of the time. So aim for 80. So what do you love? And what do you hate? Go ahead, jot that down for yourself. Write it in the chat box. We're going to come together and share it out loud in a moment. But take a minute, think about that, come up with something brilliant.
Do it.
Don't hurt me no more. Baby, don't hurt me no more.
New group project.
And if you're having trouble, again, if you're having trouble figuring it out, what is that topic that when you get started on it, your friends are all like, oh my gosh, do not get Jason talking about blah, 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 because we're going to be here until 3 o'clock in the morning and he will never shut up. That's your passion. It could also be something that you hate so passionately that you want to change it. That's your passion too. When I said before, my statement, something that I hate is people who come into life saying, well, I can't do this because no one in my family has ever done this before, so that means I can't do it either. That makes me so crazy. That's one of the reasons I do the work I do, because I don't want you to define yourself by someone else's expectations. I want you to define yourself by your own expectations. And maybe even push those boundaries a little bit too. Without passion, life is work. With passion, work is a hobby and life is a gift. Jim Carrey said, you might fail doing what you hate, so you may as well try to do what you love. So what's coming up for you? What are your passions? What do you love? What do you hate and not want to deal with at all? Or what do you hate so much that you want to change it for the rest of the world?
I want to share Leah's for people who aren't in the chat box. This is awesome. She said, I love helping people and my strongest trait is being empathetic. My calling is to be a funeral director, and after pursuing 2 previous careers that brought no joy, I am finally excited to be going for my passion. Love that.
That's amazing. What wonderful self-clarity also.
And I'm not sure which of the 2 of you there is love reading hate group projects, or if one of you loves reading a hate group project. Yeah?
Yeah, that's Collegiate.
Cool. Awesome.
I'm gonna go over a library. That seems nice. It's like interaction with people, but not as much, you know?
You're saying
I think
working
that'd
in
be
a
nice.
library because you love reading and it's like not a lot of work dealing with people, but some?
Yeah. It's like helping people. It's not like working like, well, like I don't like stuff just pending and just absolutely getting done and like in the world. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I love, my mom is actually a librarian, and my favorite thing about her when she went to library school when I was a kid, I loved that I was able to be like, oh, I finished my book. Do you have any recommendations? She'd be like, well, I just read these 10 books. Which one do you want? So yeah, being paid to read, that sounds pretty great for someone who loves reading.
Diego, you want to share yours? I know your mic's on, right?
I wrote it down in the chat box.
Would you rather Jason read
that?
it?
So,
Diego said that he loves inspiring people with positivity and always giving people a smile. I believe that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, Diego, I'm giving you a virtual high five. I feel like you and I are in similar worlds today, for sure.
thank you. Thank you, Jean, for your comment.
Oh, absolutely.
Michael says that
Anything
he's
else?
passionate. Oh, sorry, I was going to say that Michael says he's passionate about helping people and building structure that others can follow, doesn't like dishonesty and a lack of communication.
Nice. Nice. Awesome.
Lillian is passionate about working with children. Awesome.
Awesome. So often we think of our genius as the like what you're going to do, and then your passion is the world or the industry that you're going to do it in. So let's move on to achievement, because you want to fulfill your achievements. Most students take their education higher, but not deeper. So look out your window. Anyone see a tree in front of them? I have a beautiful tree that I'm
I
staring
have
at.
a,
That's
I
what
have
made
a
me
tree.
think of it. So the higher the tree, the deeper it's what?
Roots.
Exactly. And those of us in cities, the higher a skyscraper, the deeper its
Foundation.
foundation. Exactly. So how many of you want to go on and get more and more and more degrees? Awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
Amazing. Fantastic. I think that's brilliant. But you also got to take it deeper, which means reminding yourself why you're going through this, reminding yourself why you're taking the LSATs or the MCATs or the GREs or the GMATs or whatever it is that you're taking. Why are you doing this to yourself? So one of my friends who's in law school, I have a lot of lawyer friends, I'm just realizing. His first year of law school, he was having a really tough time. He was getting very bad grades, was actually in danger of losing some scholarships, of flunking out. And we were talking and I said, well, why are you in law school? Like, what, do you not like it anymore? Like, is it not interesting? Why are you doing this? And he said, I just didn't know what else to do. I wasn't ready to get a real job. I got a really great scholarship. I don't know. I thought it would make my parents proud. Like, just seemed like the next best thing to do. I said, oh, well, no wonder you're having trouble, because he didn't have that deeper reason. He didn't have a deeper mission, a deeper goal to why he was there. It was just like, I guess I'll go right today instead of left, whatever. You got to make it deeper for yourself. You got to take your education deeper, not just higher, because otherwise your tree's going to fall down. And that was goals are what lead you towards your deeper, bigger, greater, grander, brighter vision. You have 5 seconds to solve this maze. Go.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
All right, who did it? Who solved it? Anyone?
Is there like I don't see any openings for it.
I don't see any openings. You're right. So how did you figure that out?
Because I always look at the end.
Because you always
Or
look at the end. Exactly. So there's 2 ways that folks approach this maze. Either you jump in and you're like, left, right. Where am I going to go? What am I going to do next? Or you look at the end. You say, well, that's where I want to end up. And then I'm going to trace it backwards to where I started. Wait, there is no end. Now I'm confused. That's the same way that you can approach your life. You can either jump in and say, oh, this looks good. Ooh, shiny. Ooh, shiny. Ooh, shiny. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go there. I like this person. I'm going to go see this movie, whatever it is, and decide everything at the drop of a hat. Or you look at the end. You say, this is where I want to end up in 50 years, or 10 years, or 5 years, or 6 months. This is where I want to end up when the quarantine ends, when the lockdown ends, when our global pause ends. And then you work backwards. You say, okay, if this is where I want to end up, what do I have to do to get there? What are the twists and turns that I have to take? What are the skills that I need? What are the abilities that I need? What do I need to commit to? And then what habits do I get to develop in order to get to that final end goal? How many of you knew 4 years ago that you were going to be here on Zoom, taking all your classes in your bedrooms or your living rooms, with your teachers suddenly appearing on your computer screens at home?
No.
Oh,
We didn't know.
No. I know I didn't. And you can't always predict everything, right? We couldn't have known that this would happen. But knowing where I want to go after this has helped me figure out how to navigate this new time. Because it is a maze that we're in at this moment. Yes or yes? Yes. Do what's meaningful. Live and work in a way that's congruent with achieving your vision, whatever that vision is. And however big that vision is, it's okay if it's big. That's awesome. Break it down into bite-sized chunks. And again, aim for 80%. You're not always gonna be 100% working towards your vision 100% of the time, every single day, every single week. Sometimes you need a break. Sometimes you might have a day where you're like, I just need to watch Netflix and stay in my pajamas. That's okay. Aim for 80%. We all got to do the dishes. So what are some achievements that you really, really want to achieve? Write that down, text it to someone, share it with us in the chat. What do you want to achieve? And what do you not want to fail at? What is something that you do not want to fail at? Do that now.
You really want it. You really
Put
want
on some music.
it. You really want it.
Just for you, Chad. We've killed Mario. So identify what is most meaningful in your life so that you can create a life that allows you to do meaningful things. So what's coming up for you? What are your achievements that you're super, super excited about, or the things that you really don't want to fail at?
Got some awesome responses coming through in the chat box. Chad says 2 degrees in game programming in Lehigh and at Penn State. Diego says my achievements are to finish off the semester with good grades. Lacey's starting ADM program in August and really doesn't want to fail at that. Amber says get my business and website for my business going. She has the website started, but it's like bare minimum due to lack of time. JSGUO, I'm not sure how to pronounce that, get CCNA certificate. Lacey says eventually going for my bachelor's. Smiley face. Nice. Leah says I want to get through this semester and next year with good grades and still provide my kids a mom that is present and making this time easier for them. Absolutely. Our library, oh, cool. We've got them separated this time. Glacier says, I want a muscle and a healthy diet. I don't want to fail any more classes. And Kiana says, I want to make a book and a video game. I don't want to fail out of college. Nobody wants to fail out of college. That's good.
Rock on. I support this plan.
That's awesome.
How about any of you who are on video? Michael, Christian, what do you want to achieve?
I would like to have my own business.
Doing what?
I don't know, maybe real estate would be great for me.
Awesome.
But first, I just want to get my bachelor's degree in business, actually.
In business. Awesome. Is real estate one of your passions?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And you seem like you're an outgoing person who likes to talk to people.
I do, yeah.
That
Jean
is,
knows about that. Yeah.
I could just tell.
You can tell?
The
You can
smile
tell?
that you have. That is definitely a genius that helps with real estate.
Oh,
for
thank you.
sure.
Thanks. Oh. How about Michael?
Look at you. You're like, I'm going to facilitate for you. Yeah.
That's it.
Go for it.
I just want to be a healthy person. I've been dealing with like depression for a really long time, so I've been trying to maintain my mental health and just also exercising a lot, and I just want to keep my body fit and my mind fit.
Cool.
That's
That's
awesome.
awesome.
Can I tweak one thing you said?
Yeah.
Take that just out of the sentence.
Yeah,
I want to be a healthy person. There is nothing to be ashamed of with wanting to be a healthy person. There is no just about it, right? That is something to be proud of. Good for you. Good for you for owning that. And yeah, I'm right there with you.
Yeah, I actually learned through group therapy. It's actually, those are called weasel words. They're basically like words that sort of back you out of a
Like you
statement
weasel
before you
out.
say it.
Yeah.
Love that. That's awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks for
sharing.
sharing.
Anything else? Any other achievements or things you don't want to fail at?
Really personal.
Yeah.
Going once,
Feel comfortable.
going twice. Sold. So slash, moving on. So this is now where we get to integrate our real GPA. You integrate that genius that you all shared, or that most of you shared, that passion, the thing that keeps you up late at night, that you stay up late dreaming about, or that you wake up early in the morning, you're like, oh, I figured it out, and your achievements. And you take all of those, oh, that's what I just said. You take all of those and you mush them together, because the key to college and life success is your genius, your passion, and your achievements. So another way to think about this is your genius is, can you do it? Am I physically capable of it? Do I have the mental ability to do this thing I want to do? Your passion is, will you do it? Am I actually going to do this thing that, yeah, maybe it's challenging, but if I'm passionate about it, I'm going to keep doing it. And if I'm not, I'm going to lose interest pretty quickly. And then the achievement is, for how long? Do I have that greater goal that's going to keep me going even when the going gets tough, even when all my classes are all of a sudden on Zoom and I really love being in a room with other human beings? But if I have that greater goal that keeps me moving forward, that's going to encourage me to keep doing it for however long it's going to take. And then you take your genius and your passion, your achievement, and you mush them all together and you put them in your GPA blender. And I wish that I had a real GPA blender for all of you, but you smush it all up and then out comes a delicious smoothie of your life path and your real GPA. And if anyone is saying, I don't know, Alice, my genius, my achievement, those are not working together, I'm going to stay afterwards. Ask me. I'm sure we can figure it out. You can also reach out and email me if you want. Jason can throw my email address into the chat box. We often ask kids, what do you want to be when you grow up, right? What do you want to be when you grow up? And here's the problem with that is that, for example, my 5-year-old nephew, when I asked him that a year ago, he said, I want to be a dinosaur.
Go big or go home.
Go big or go home. It's hard to tell him that he's going to have to go home. That ain't going to happen. So I would challenge us, instead of what do you want to be when you grow up, what are you capable of being? The best you could be, right? But what are you capable of being? Because he can't be anything you want to be, right? He can't be a dinosaur, but he could be the best version of himself that he is. And you can be the best of who you already are. So as I said before, as I understand it, most or all of you took your strengths profiles at the beginning of the year. Yes?
Yes.
Yes. Awesome. So your genius, strengths is another way of telling you what your genius is. Now, if that strengths profile, if when you finish it, you were like, yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. How did this test know me so well? We never met. They must have cheated. That means it was right. That means you're on the right path. That's a good thing. You want these kind of tests to show you some new things, but also not to make you be like, oh my gosh, my whole life, I have to restructure everything. But if you took the strengths profile and now you're saying, I don't know how that lines up with my genius. My strength said this and I'm majoring in that. I don't know about this. I need some support and I need some clarity. Tony D'Angelo, who facilitated the strength seminar in November, he has kindly offered, and his exact words were, anything for L-Tri-C, that if anyone has specific questions about aligning your genius and your major with your strengths output, to reach out to him. So ask Jean. She's going to throw her email address into the chat box. And if enough of you want that support, Tony and I are we'll set up a Zoom meeting for all of us to work on that. And where Tony's, he is a genius at this. where he'll help you figure out how to align those together. Sound good?
Very good.
Good. Awesome. So let's come back to that core purpose question that I challenged you with almost an hour ago. How will you use your greatest natural talents, in other words, your genius, within the industry you are most attracted to, in other words, your passion, in order to accomplish your goals, in other words, your achievements? Take a moment, think about that, write that down, text it to someone, make them your accountability buddy. Or if there's another human in your space you want to run and or shout it to them, take yourself off, put yourself on mute for a minute while you do that, and go ahead and share it with them. Do that now. Most importantly, I want you to obey your spirits. I said earlier that part of my purpose, mine, is to encourage people, to inspire people to be who they are. So obey your spirit. If there's something that you think you should do, but you're really passionate about something else, listen to that little voice. Listen to that little voice. Use your experiences to discover your real GPA. And again, if you're not sure what your genius is, if you're not sure what your passion is, do more things. Try something. You never know when this thing you try on a lark is the thing that you're like, oh, I want to dedicate my life to this because that was freaking amazing. Make your career planning a big deal now so that you can make your friends and family a big deal later. So what's coming up for you? What thoughts do you have? Go ahead, take yourself off mute. If anyone's come up with their statement, go ahead and share it. I want to hear it. I love this stuff.
Give you Chad's. Chad's on here is to use his skills and knowledge to re-spark the game industry and to be remembered for the upcoming years and decades.
I like it. Chad, I better see your name. I wanna be reading your name. In gaming magazines, be like, hey, I know Chad, that's awesome.
So can you hear me? I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Okay. I first off want to apologize because I've been privately accidentally messaging Jean all my responses throughout this entire thing, so no one's been getting it.
Oh,
But in the beginning you had asked what everyone's like madness is, and mine is like I like to organize a lot of things, and that kind of overarches into like sometimes I organize things that aren't mine, and it gets a little crazy like that. So I've kind of narrowed it into I'm in the kitchen and bath design program, which is what I am. That's my goal for the year, is to finish that program by December. And I want to succeed with design.
That's awesome. That's awesome. What else?
I don't know what. I missed the question. I was worrying about my phone.
You're worrying about your phone? Oh no.
Yeah, that's why we left the chat for a second. Her phone's overheated.
Yeah.
Oh no. Uh-oh.
I gotta like log back in.
I'm using my phone now.
Technology. So it was a super open question of what's coming up for you, what if anyone knows what their core purpose statement is, or where they fall with that GPA blender, that genius, passion, achievement all mushed up together, what that looks like for you.
Well, I mean, right now I'm more focused on diet. So that way I can focus more on exercising. So that involves a lot of reading on my end because I want to make sure I do it as safely as possible. Because the only way I can really focus on doing my career is if I'm in like a healthy mindset and I have like a healthy body itself, because like lifting and everything, I'm going to need strength.
100%. 100%. That's brilliant.
Why did it say we left? Oh wait, but it said we left on the other one.
Leah shared in the text box. She says, I want to be able to be there for people in their darkest times and make the worst days of their lives better for having me there to help them.
That's gorgeous, Leah. I just got chills hearing that. That is really lovely, and how much we need that right now, especially.
I think I kind of just want to be creative. I want to make people laugh and like, I want to make them laugh through jokes, books, games, whatever. I want to make them laugh.
I love it. That sounds like a pretty great passion. I'm going to quote Michael and say, get that weasel word out of there. You don't just want to make them laugh. Making people laugh is a amazing life goal. I would say that is of paramount importance these days.
I'm going to steal part of that. So good.
Yeah, that's one of Jason's life goals.
Totally.
If you think about, you know, how we're all getting through this quarantine and this pause, so many of us are turning to music and books and movies and TV shows. And I don't know about you, but I find myself so much drawn to comedies right now because the news is not making me laugh, to put it mildly. And so I want that escape. So wanting to make people laugh, oh my gosh, yes, please, we need you.
Woo! I'm needed.
You're needed. You are all needed.
You're always needed, sis. We can't live without our talent. Someone's got to keep you in line.
What else? Any other thoughts, ideas, questions, observations? Going once. Going twice.
I'm going to throw out there that a couple of things from the text box. Michael says, I want to be in a place where I can pass down a better life to my family. And Kat says, helping people isn't going to pay the bills at the end of the day. True, you gain people trust and happiness, but does the bill that need to get paid? Which I think is part of what you're talking about, Alex, right? Like finding a way of combining that, helping people, if that's your passion, in a way that does pay the bills. Am I right?
Exactly.
Okay, so
exactly.
Can I get in this?
Yeah.
So my job is currently what I'm getting my degree in, which is computer programming. I think it is the most boring thing ever, but I am really good at it. So I use the money from my job to fund the things that I want to do, like my dog grooming business, like mentoring people with depression, like all that stuff. I fund it through my genius to do my passion.
No, not in front of everyone.
So like I hate sitting behind a desk staring at code all day. So boring, but it pays the bills and it has the extra money to fund what I like to do.
That's awesome.
That's awesome, Amber. And I love, so there's kind of two ways you could take this. You could do it the way Amber is, which is brilliant and amazing, where you say, I'm going to use my genius to get the money to afford all the other stuff that I want in my life. I would also challenge you, Amber, is there a way to combine your genius and your passion a little bit? It doesn't have to, you know what I mean? But you have a dog grooming business.
With like my website that I'm built, like the websites I'm building, I build my own website for my business, which is my passion. And then I'm currently working on a depression app. So like, you know how like Alcoholics Anonymous, they have sponsors?
Yeah.
I kind of want to do that for people who are depressed. So you have a sponsor and you can go on this app and you can monitor, like keep a mood diary, keep a dream diary, keep a list of all your medications and what reactions you had to them. So you know when you go to appointments and stuff and they ask you these things, you have it like in your hand. And then if you are having like a really hard time, you have this app that you can contact somebody right then and there and they'll help you through it.
That's brilliant. That is totally brilliant. I want to sign up for the beta testing of this app, 100%. Yeah, and that's exactly it. That is the marriage between your genius and your passion. And it's not going to happen overnight. You know, sometimes we need to use our genius to help fund the training and the schooling that we need in order to eventually pursue our passion. But I would challenge you that you can find a way to marry them, maybe not today, but sooner rather than later, rather than just saying, you know, oh, it's never, I have to keep them separate. There's a way to find that common ground. And if you feel like your genius or your passion isn't something you're going to get paid for, find your genius within the world of your passion. Because if it's your genius, you are going to get paid for it, and you can get paid well for it. And that's another way you know it's your genius, because you're doing something that no one else can do, or that very, very few people can do well. Amazing. So that is how you prevent a miserable career journey. And I want to thank all of you for joining me on this journey in preventing miserable career journeys, because I want you all to avoid the great plague, which is that most students graduate without a sense of purpose and work without a sense of meaning. Don't do that. If you don't know why you're here and why you're doing what you're doing, pause, recalibrate. It'll make that all-nighter that you have to pull so much easier to get through when you know what the light at the end of the tunnel is, and not just that it's there. And obey your spirit. No one can tell you what your passion is ultimately. You have to find that for yourself. Because you can be a fill-in-the-blank within the fill-in-the-blank industry. Insert genius here, insert passion there. There's another way to look at it. So your genius, that's your natural talents, your best work. It's the value that you bring. It's what you're best at. And then you combine that with your passion, which is what you love. It's what you love, what you hate, what energizes you. Maybe it's your hobbies, your fantasies, what you take ownership of. And then you combine that with your achievement, which is doing what's meaningful. These are your goals, what will bring you success and happiness and progress. These are the results. This is what brings you meaning. And then you do that in the environment that works best for you, to do what works when you're working, which means you find a culture and a team and an atmosphere and a structure and an outlook that feed you. A lot of you are probably realizing this now. Oh, I work best. I work really well being able to do my studies whenever I want, or I need the accountability of deadlines or of having face-to-face communication. Figure out what that ideal environment is for you so that you can seek it out later on. And then your finances. You want to, this is what Amber was saying, you want to do what funds your life and your dreams. Not all of your passion are going to be your career. Some of it is going to be stuff you're going to do when you're not at work. I love to travel, so I want to have the financial ability to be able to travel, not just for work, but also for vacation. This is your cash flow, what brings you value, your worth. You got to pay your taxes. What'll bring you comfort, and also the perks that you want to have in your life. If this speaks to you, this breakdown, feel free to take a screenshot, take a picture, do what you want to do. And you put all of that together. So you have your lifestyle, you have all of that together, and that's what leads you to prevent a miserable career journey. And you might even recognize that we use that same symbol. So we must establish an environment for each of us, for ourselves, oh no, that allows us to express our passionate genius in order to do work that is meaningful and financially viable. Making a living from your passion is not a bad word. Thereby empowering yourselves to create a lifestyle that works for our life outside of work. Your core purpose statement. My purpose is, fill in the blank, to follow my vision for what is the world that you want to help create. In my role as, what is the role you want to have in that world? By using my genius for, within my passion for, so that I create the achievement of. And P.S., those of you who are prepping for interviews, this is also your elevator pitch. Just a little side note there. Or your mission statement or your bio or your about me on your website. So thank you so much for joining us the past 3 weeks online, and those of you who were here who were there in person with us earlier in the year before all of this hit. Again, I'm going to hang out afterwards if you have any thoughts or questions, and I'm going to turn it over to Jean, who has her raffle results for those of you who attended today.
Yes, and thank you to everyone for your participation. This has been awesome experience. Thank you, Alex, Jason, everyone at Collegiate Empowerment for letting us to continue this year and learning, in our new and virtual remote environments. I also just want to say thank you to those folks. Quite a few of you have already submitted your essays, which is awesome. I will be getting back to each of you with some feedback and just some remarks. I really appreciate that you've taken the time to do that, especially at this time of year. And we, as you know, we obviously aren't having our ceremony this Sunday, but we still will be doing certificates. We will get you your jackets. And providing some kind of recognition for everyone that's completed the program. So more to
get ours in this weekend.
And so we had some extra gift card funds available to purchase gift cards. So today we're actually going to do 5. And as I said, I will be getting hopefully out to shops soon. I just got my college credit card. So today's winner are Chad, Michael, Chris, Lacey, Leah, and Lillian. So you will also be receiving a $25 gift card. And I do have our list from previous sessions: Diego, Amber, Christian, and Delaney. So I will be getting those out to everyone. And thank you again for your time and dedication to the leadership program.
Thank you.
I just want to take the time and say thank you to Alex. She's an amazing speaker. She's great.
Thank you, Kristen.
And thank you, Jen, for making this possible. Thank you, Jen.
Thank
you
you
so much
for being
Thank you,
here.
Jason, as well.
Thank you, Jason.
Yeah, he had to run off to a call, but I will share that with him. He's pretty awesome.
Thank you.
I learned a lot. Thank you.
Oh, good.
Me too.
It's good to see all your faces. Best part of the week.
Have a great day.
100%.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you, Alex.
Thank you.
Thank you.